Joe Rogan criticizes David Corenswet's Superman reboot while defending James Gunn's controversial past tweets. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Joe Rogan is no fan of David Corenswet's upcoming debut as the Man of Steel in James Gunn's Superman. On his recent podcast, Rogan didn't hold back his opinions on the highly anticipated reboot, dismissing it outright and even going so far as to call the iconic superhero stupid. Rogan's criticism didn't stop there. He shared his frustration with Hollywood's obsession with reboots. However, he may not be interested in Superman. His comments regarding Gunn's infamous past tweets add a layer to his complex stance. In 2018, old tweets of Gunn's resurfaced where the director made jokes about sensitive subjects. The jokes sparked controversy, but Rogan seemingly took his side and talked about the insensitivity. Although Joe Rogan isn't interested in Superman, his comments on James Gunn's controversial past tweets add nuance to his viewpoint. In 2018, old tweets resurfaced in which Gunn made jokes about sensitive topics like P*****ophilia and R***PE. The tweets caused an uproar, resulting in Gunn's temporary firing from Disney and Marvel Studios, where he was working on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. In his 2018 The Joe Rogan Experience podcast, Rogan pointed out that while the tweets were inappropriate and in bad taste, they were jokes, and no actual criminal behavior was involved. As a stand-up comedian himself, Rogan acknowledged the offensive nature of Gunn's jokes, calling them terrible and gross. They're F***ing terrible. The problem is they're not funny, and they are jokes, they are really gross. However, Rogan made it clear that he didn't believe Gunn should have been fired, asserting that Gunn was simply a **TTY joke teller rather than a criminal. The situation raised larger questions about cancel culture by activists and the consequences of past actions, something Rogan acknowledged as a byproduct of today's culture of activism. For Rogan, while the tweets were problematic, the response to them, the firing and public shaming, seemed excessive. He even went so far as to suggest that the real issue lay with the culture that places so much emphasis on holding people accountable for past mistakes. This perspective reveals a more nuanced take on Gunn's controversy, acknowledging the harm caused by the jokes. In his recent The Joe Rogan Experience podcast, released on February 9th, Rogan was joined by guests, Matt Serra, Brendan Schaub, and Brian Callen. When Tara asked about the trailer for David Corenswet's Superman movie, he simply responded, "I'm a grown man," and dismissed the project as unworthy of his time, saying, "Superman is stupid." One specific aspect of the trailer that irked him was the inclusion of Krypto, the superdog. Rogan couldn't fathom why a flying, superpowered dog was necessary. Why was the dog able to drag him? Despite his co-hosts defending James Gunn's ability to make unusual characters interesting, just as he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, Rogan remained unimpressed and unpersuaded. However, he accepted that he liked the fox in Guardian of the Galaxy. Rogan's disinterest in Superman is part of a broader critique he has about the superhero genre in general. He has expressed his frustration with the constant reboots of iconic characters in Hollywood. The fact that Superman has been rebooted multiple times and Spider-Man and the Hulk have had numerous iterations over the years only deepens Rogan's skepticism. Despite his co-host's excitement watching the upcoming movie, Rogan constantly stated he had no plans to watch it. While Rogan remains uninterested in James Gunn's Superman, his comments on Gunn's past tweets reveal a nuanced understanding of the consequences of today's cancel culture. Rogan may not be a fan of his latest superhero venture, but his support of Gunn in this instance adds an interesting layer to the conversation surrounding cancel culture and activism. Before Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn learned a harsh Hollywood lesson while making his first superhero film, starring Rob Lowe. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Before James Gunn became the mastermind behind Guardians of the Galaxy and DC Studios, he had to face the cold, hard truth about Hollywood. Making superhero movies isn't all glitz and glam. His first crack at the genre, starring none other than Rob Lowe, was a wild ride that came with its own brutal wake-up call. Long before he was juggling A-list actors and billion-dollar budgets, Gunn learned that Hollywood doesn't always play fair. James Gunn learned the hard way that Hollywood doesn't always respect a writer's vision. When he wrote The Specials, his first superhero film starring Rob Lowe, he had control over the words but not much else. His ideas for casting and direction were barely considered. And that was just the beginning. In a 2001 interview with Fanboy Planet, Gunn admitted that even though he trusted director Craig Mazin, the specials wasn't filmed the way he envisioned. He said, "I love Craig, and he stuck to my script almost exclusively on the specials, but my vision of how the specials should be filmed wasn't really taken into account. Scooby-Doo was a much bigger property, and I had to play around with the script a lot more, but the producers and the director were extremely respectful of my words and, to a fair degree, how I saw the movie. My words on casting were not always heeded, but they were always listened to." Things got even more complicated when he moved to big studio projects like Scooby-Doo. While the producers and director were respectful of his words, they weren't always followed. That's a harsh reality many writers face. Studios often prioritize directors, producers, or even actors over the person who wrote the story. Take It Ends With Us, where Ryan Reynolds reportedly rewrote scenes without the original writer's knowledge. It's an industry-wide pattern, one Gunn experienced firsthand. Of course, working under Troma's Lloyd Kaufman was a different story. Gunn joked during the same interview, "No one beats Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Pictures, though he let me do most anything, as long as lesbian sex was involved in some way. But, hell, there's a lot of give and take on all these projects." James Gunn eventually found his place as a director, ensuring his vision stayed intact. But the specials was a wake-up call, one that proved even the best writers can get sidelined in the system. A new Superman TV spot, titled Icon, dropped on January 27th, featuring David Corenswet soaring through icy terrain. But instead of praising the epic shot, fans got distracted by his face. One user noted, assuming it was unfinished CGI, "There's something with his face that looks a little off. I know there's plenty of time to refine the CG. There is absolutely zero CG in his face. People's faces can look different when you put a wide-angle lens up close. The background plate in Svalbard, Norway, is 100% real, as is David." The internet, of course, had jokes. Some compared Corenswet's wide-eyed look to Marty Feldman's Igor in Young Frankenstein. Others photoshopped Steve Buscemi's crazy eyes onto Superman. Despite the memes, Superman is still on track for a July 11, 2025, release. Corenswet leads a cast featuring Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Some aren't too thrilled by the prospect of DC turning James Gunn into a brand, especially after his cameos in recent DC projects. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. However, not many are too thrilled about the prospect of Gunn becoming the potential face of the DC brand, especially after his cameo in Creature Commandos and the Superman Unlimited #1 poster. Long gone are the days when a movie star's involvement alone could secure a movie's success, as apart from Tom Cruise, a major Hollywood star's casting doesn't always contribute to guaranteed box office success. With notable directors being more effective in pulling crowds nowadays, it seems DC is betting all its cards on James Gunn. Taking to X, some fans called out DC for seemingly turning Gunn as the face of the company, which stemmed from his appearances on Creature Commandos, Harley Quinn, and the